Welcome to the video. We're checking out the book known as What Every Pianist Needs to Know About the Body. I've provided the link in the description for you to check out the book. And before I get into the video, I just want to say that whatever being talked about in this video is only the important points. I'm not really, reading out the whole thing. So if you want to know much more about the book, like if you want to dive deeper into it, then it's highly recommended that you go check out the book, because it's just wonderful. Now let's get into the video. Alright, we are now done with chapter 1. Now we're going to get into chapter 2. In this chapter, we're going to be mapping the structures. We're going to map the important structures that has got to do with the places for balance in our body. Alright, so whenever we are standing or sitting upright, how are we balanced? How are we really being able to stand or sit upright? So the reason for that is the way we are built, the way each part of our skeleton is aligned. Our bony structure plays two roles in helping us stay upright. The first one is that each body structure is going to deliver the weight to the structure that's below it. For example, the skull is going to deliver the weight to the top vertebra, and then the top vertebra is going to deliver the weight below the structure, and then so on. The thing about this is that the structure that delivers the weight to the structure that's below it can actually hold that weight. If you're holding the skull up in the air and we're letting go of our hand, the skull is gonna drop down. It's because there is no structure below the skull, or there is nothing below the skull that can hold its weight. The air is not enough, so it's gonna come down and hit the floor, and then it's not gonna go below the floor because the floor can't actually hold the skull. So the skull is going to distribute the weight to the top vertebra. The top vertebra is supported by the structures below it, so it can hold up the skull. So from this, what we can understand is that uprightness is not something we should bring about consciously. It just happens the way we are built. So when we are going to start to rely on our bony structure, tension can be released and we are free to approach piano playing from a position of mechanical advantage. The first structure that we are going to talk about is the skull. It's roughly spherical and it sits balanced on the spine, on the top vertebra of the spine. Many people actually mismap two important things about the skull. First thing is about the jaw. Most people actually map the jaw as part of the skull. Actually, in truth, the jaw is not part of the skull. The jaw also includes lower teeth, by the way. The jaw actually connects to the skull right over here. It's like right in front of your ears. Right over there. That's where the jaw actually connects to the skull. The jaw is not part of the skull. The second thing is the point where the skull meets the spine. Many people actually mismap that part. Most people think that this is where the skull meets the spine, but in truth, this is actually where the skull meets the spine, and it's like way deeper than you think. It's the lowest point of the skull. You can clearly map this joint. If you point your hand right into mouth straight, the place where it points is exactly where that joint is. It's called the AO joint. And the joint where the jaw meets the skull is called the TMJ joint. So there are two things that you have to know about the head. The jaw is not part of the head, and the AO joint is way deeper than you think, and it's the lowest part of the skull. And from that part is where your head actually moves. Like when you twist your head here and there, your head is moving from the AO joint. So you have to keep that in mind.